For 30 years, I've been struggling with my hostility to Yoko Ono. I have tried to get over it. I thought the murder of John Lennon would help. It hasn't. I have so many resentments against Yoko Ono, the number one being that she stripped away from John Lennon his brilliant sense of British humor, the surrealistic kind of writing and pranksterism that came out of Lewis Carroll via Oscar Wilde. Yoko thought it was silly. She never understood it. She imposed a kind of moralism, a political correctness on John that really, I think, crushed his originality. And over time, he may have been a happier person with Yoko, but he was a lesser artist. What John found in her was a kind of stripping away of the extraneous. The first album that he did, where he just eliminated everything from the music, and it's nothing but himself singing with his piano with a slight reverberation. The songs of renunciation, there's nothing but Yoko and me, that's reality, and so on. That is a wonderful work of art.
You know, it's really sad how rock, has diminished as in terms of its national appeal. There's no doubt. I've seen pie charts, which show that hip hop is now something like 3/4 of music sales, in the world right now. Hip hop has taken over. Now, where I am in Philadelphia, most of the stations are devoted to hip hop, or to like oldie goldies or something like that. And it's only when I travel, sometimes I'm taking the airplane even, and I try to have a little radio, and I can hear the stations as we're passing over. And hard rock still survives in the heartland of the United States. You have to get away from the major cities, and it's still there. It's like raw, heavy, visceral music. And yes, that testosterone, I've written about that, the high testosterone, of the heavy metal rock guitarists and so on, right? So actually, rock is kind of persisted, and there are markets all over the world. I love this, the documentary of Iron Maiden. They made maybe 5-6 years ago. It's a fabulous documentary that shows them when their own jet, being driven by, when the guy has a pilot's license, right, and going around the world, and the incredible response, mass response, to the kind of rock that they do. So it still lives, But I think that's another thing, is that music today, the way it's being made, the intricacy of hip hop, the rhythm, there's so many fascinating things about it, but the problem is the way hip hop records are being made now is not conducive to, it seems to me, to artistic development of musicians. That is, what's happening is that you get like a very brilliant young guy, who provides a beat, a great beat, so then they take the beat and they bring it over to somebody else who makes the lyrics for it, somewhere else, and then they present it to like a major song, singer, like Rihanna or whatever, Now that way of doing music, where it's all fragmented, and you don't have the people actually meet the way the Stones do it, to meet together in a room, and to have a synergistic energy, with each other, etc. Really bouncing off each other, and everything going on to the intuitive level, right? And that's why the Rolling Stones always say, that they will never record a track, separate tracks. Everything has, and if there are any flaws in it, they'll leave the flaws, which I think is fantastic. It's like that's the way a jazz performance, would be. So you have like in, "Give Me Shelter," the great moment which they left, which is the classic moment where you have one of the African American, singers, her voice breaks at the top, and you hear Mick Jagger going woo like that, right? And they leave it, and that's important. That's important. The rawness of music. That's like again, so we're in a period where everything is kind of fabricated and. And also the use of, there's all kinds of compression things they're using now in production to prevent the voices from going too high up or too low, and this kind of evenness. The production is like absolutely fascist. The way it there's like this like glue, that's over everything. All right. So when I listen to like older songs, some of them still wow, they just have an emotional authenticity and a vitality. And another thing is that young people today, in my view, because they're listening to music often on earbuds, they're not experiencing music as we did, as something coming from speakers, that is vibrating the body, Okay, all right. So I mean, the bass line, big bass line, would vibrate you. You'd feel it in your bones. Okay, and so young people are getting music that's like it's like kind of up here. Okay, there's nothing that that moves them. So that's another issue. So I mean, I could go on and on in my litany of problems. But all right, thank you for that question.
Who would be a musical artist today? I know you've written Taylor Swift as a pestilence, so it's probably not her.
Taylor Swift
But who would
is
be a
like
musical
a
artist
nightmare.
today who stands up to the giants of the past?
Stands up to working today.
Working
there's
today or
absolutely
close to today,
absolutely
the last 10
Now,
years.
I was enjoying. I was really very hopeful about Rihanna for a while there, but unfortunately, I think that she's not really working with the top producers any longer, and the new album is an atrocity, and it's really terrible. It's sad because there are so many people with talents, okay, who are not being developed. It's because our music industry is now very formulaic. People can't, young people can't really move along, studying their instruments and getting their chops over a period of time. So, there's nothing to draw on in the way that the musicians of my generation could draw on the folk tradition, the folk music. And
You're sounding like a cultural conservative.
Well, it's not, no. I'm just saying there's certain moments, certain magic moments of fertility or creativity that happen in many of the arts. You can find certain key moments where there's a confluence of influences and a certain richness. And in that very moment, it's a great time to be alive, to be young. For example, Shakespeare would not be Shakespeare if he were alive today. As it happens, he left Stratford for whatever reason. Okay, went to London at a magic moment. Okay, when theater was flourishing, which was only for a few decades, and then it was out again. Okay, and so on. So there's a certain kind of luck that if you're the right person at the right time in any one of the artistic
Kanye
genres.
West, every album is different. He draws upon a lot of
Lord.
sources from the past.
Oh my God,
Inspired
the
by
bloat.
rap,
Okay,
rhythm and blues. No.
what can I say?